So over here on the counter, I've got a variety of different chilies. A lot of them are the same, just different batches. And today's the day when we deal with them so that we can get them off the counter and into the cupboard without any fear of them going off or being wasted. Let's see what we can do with this. Over here on the counter, these are the chilies we have. We have jalapeños, we have paprika, and we have Thai dragon. So today the aim is to go through these chilies, sort through what we can preserve, and preserve them. In these two containers here, I have two previous harvests of jalapenos. However, the fridge has frozen some of these, so we're going to have to see what condition they're in and deal with them. But for the most part, we're definitely having a chili day. And before we can start with the chilies, I just need to empty this dehydrated to make space for it. So once upon a time, Duncan bought this Sunbeam coffee grinder, and sadly, I think with all my use, it's given up the go, and we're left without a grinder. So for now, a lot of the herbs that I have to put away, I do have to just store until I can replace this particular machine or tool in the kitchen, and then at least I can carry on with that. So on this rack, I've got some garlic chives. I am just going to collect them and put them in the jar. Unfortunately, because my grinder's broken, I can't grind them and put them in their powdered form. But for now, they will hold in a jar until I can replace that particular tool. I already have a jar of mixed herbs that I've started. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take its lid off, put it onto the rack here, and then slowly pull these leaves off and add them into the mix. Lastly, I've just got this marjoram to put in here. Now that this is pre-mixed, I'm going to put it in the cupboard and it's going to live there just like this. And as I need to top up our mixed herb blend on the spice rack, I will do so from this jar. Next up, I'm going to deal with our paprika peppers. As you can see, they are a long but slightly thick pepper, and they are quite full of seeds. And the seeds and the pith in the chili are generally what give it its heat. So I'm just going to cut this down the center just to show you how many seeds there actually are. This is quite a thin fleshed, or the flesh, at least the wall of the chili is quite a thin layer of flesh, and the rest is made up predominantly by the pith and the seed. And since we are going to be using this as paprika powder, I am going to keep the seeds as well as the pith, but I'm going to remove them from the shell so that they can have a more even chance of drying out. And with the very ends of the chilies, I'm just going to save those and set them aside because the chickens can eat the chili. They don't have the taste buds that make things taste spicy. So the capsaicin in the actual chili itself doesn't affect the chickens. So these will be more snacks for them for tomorrow. So this is a good example that I've just come across here. This is essentially the reason why we cut our chilies before we dry them, is so that they don't mold in the dehydrator. So this whole chili can go to the chickens. I am just going to chop these into little slices and dry them like that. Once I've dried the chilies, I will grind them up to make a powder again. Once I have replaced my coffee grinder, that used to do an amazing job for me. I think I've just overworked it. So with these paprika peppers, I'm just going to lay them out onto my rack in a more or less even layer, just so that they'll dry at a similar speed. Right, let's see what damage the fridge has done to these jalapeños. So with these chilies, I'm going to try my hand at making a hot sauce. I'm only going to use these chilies, a few cloves of homegrown garlic, and half an onion. I'm going to start with the chilies. No, I'm going to start with the onion and the garlic. I'm going to put them in the base of this jar. To my chili sauce, I'm going to add half an onion. The onion I'm going to just cut up into, or chop up at least, into a medium-sized dice. It doesn't really matter since this is going to be blended once it's fermented. So now we've got our garlic and our onion in here, and I'm just going to start adding in our chilies. I am aware that my jar is quite large for the amount of chili that I'm adding to it, but I have quite a large weight, and the neck of this particular jar is wide enough to hold the weight. And since we're fermenting, the weight does have quite an important role to play in keeping our chilies below the surface of the brine liquid. So in here I have got our garlic cloves and our onions, as well as our chopped up jalapeños. So I have got a weight here to ensure that the chilies stay below our brining liquid, and I will just drop that in once I have added the brine to here, and it's going to be a basic saltwater brine. I'll put the recipe right here for you, and I'm going to just carry on. For our brine, we require 1 cup of water, 2 cups of water, a tablespoon of non-iodized salt. So for us, we're using sea salt. It requires 1 tablespoon of that sea salt, which we're simply going to give a mix until the salt is dissolved. To my sauce, I'm just going to add some peppercorns, a mix of red, white, and black. This is just going to add depth of flavor to our sauce. I'm also going to add in a bay leaf. To this jar, I'm going to add our broth. Right, now that I've got my weights in, it is holding down my onions, which in turn are all holding down my jalapeno. And the last task for this evening is just to dry these chilies a little bit more. And for them, I'm just going to pour them onto the shelf, make a thin layer, and allow them to dry in the dehydrator low and slow. I'm just going to put this one side and allow this to ferment over the next couple of days. How long you leave it for is genuinely dependent on how funky you prefer your ferments to be. So for us, I'm going to leave it for 3 to 5 days, monitor its progress, and come back and check it periodically and see how that ferment is going. These jalapenos I'm going to pickle. If you are interested in that, I will leave a tag at the top corner here for you to go and check out the pickling video. Hey guys, so thanks for hanging out with me tonight as I dealt with those jalapenos. If you liked today's video, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you're interested in watching us on our journey as we go from growing our food to preserving it. Have a great weekend, guys.